Today we're putting in new sewer and new water for the next 7 generations here.
We'll install a new slate hearth for the gas fireplace.
Scott Kelly and his crew have the job of putting in a properly sized fire sprinkler system into this building. Hello Scott, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Hey there, I'm Kevin O'Connor and welcome back to This Old House and to our Saratoga project where you can see we are making some good progress. The sheetrockers have been working all the way from the first floor up here to the third and right up to that beautiful new skylight that's going to wash this central staircase in sunlight. Now if you recall, the third floor was, well, it was quaint at best. It had a whole bunch of different levels, it had low ceiling height, and it was dark. But now, thanks to a new truss system and a lot of framing, everything has changed. Our doghouse dormers are bigger. They're going to fill this space with light. We've got some big, high ceiling height right here, so the living space is very comfortable. We've got a laundry room, a utility room. We've got a bedroom up front here. We've got another bedroom up front here, and then back here, we got ourselves a full bathroom. Great living space up here on the third floor, but that triggered some code changes. For example, we had to add a sprinkler system, and Richard had to deal with that, and he's also out front right now dealing with other things. Hey Richard.
Hey Kev. Big day today. We're going to dig up the street.
Okay.
So there's an old water line that was right here, went into the corner of the building, it was all galvanized and lead, and you can see the shutoff valve right here. Now we could have just dug up from here in, but there's a brand new sidewalk right there. We didn't want to touch that, and we have a new sewer line going into the building. So the existing sewer line was a mess and needed to be replaced.
Well, now our street's a mess. Look at all this industry.
Absolutely, it's quite a, we just started this little hole, right? So here's our manhole right here, you can see, and the sewer line runs this way down the middle of the street. So now we had to figure out the place to drill with a diamond bit into the side of the manhole and run back the drain line. It has to come with pitch, and so we took a laser level and figured out that from this point, the starting point here this way, could we get and run it above, here's an existing gas line and here's an old gas line.
Oh yeah.
It turned out that we could actually, so that made it a lot easier not having to go extra deep.
Okay.
So the drain line's pretty straightforward, okay? It works its way back this way. The water, here's the second trench. Now by code it wants to be about 10 feet away from the sewer line.
Keep the potable water away from sewer.
Correct.
Makes sense.
Right, and so there was an existing water main here as well, and here it is, look at this. So underneath the ground, unknown to anybody, this is lead.
Look at that, huh?
Here's the lead joint that adapted onto galvanized steel.
So that's an old system we're looking at.
You can see down here.
Wait, so is that the gas line,
Right.
an old gas line?
Right, so now you can clearly see that if we had to, we would have had to go below those, but we didn't, for the drain line, we didn't have to. So look at, here is our 4-inch water main down here, and there's the existing tapping.
That's what this was attached to.
Correct, it used to feed to the building. It came all the way back here to a shutoff right at the curb.
Okay.
So we can tie onto that one, and end of story. That's enough water supply for the house. But we discovered that you had to have a second water supply in order for the fire protection system for the third floor.
We saw those sprinklers just
Right.
a second ago.
So there's no tapping here. So for that, we're going to have to do a thing called a wet tap. We're going to cut into this 4-inch line under pressure.
I'm all in. What could go wrong?
Jared Delaney is the courageous soul of the DPW here in Saratoga.
All right.
Take us through this amazing tool.
So it's a Mueller B101 tapping machine. It's been around since the 1860s.
What?
It allows us to do taps under pressure, wet taps, hot taps, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
And what it does is I'll chain this chamber to the cast iron main. Then I'll screw the shaft down here, which has this 2-in-1 bit, which will drill and tap the main with threads in order to insert this corporation into the main.
And that's the thread that you're trying to marry right there.
That's the threads
So
that'll
the
match
same
there.
tool will be able to do both. But as soon
Correct.
as you drill that, that water wants to shoot up.
Right.
Yeah.
So this will be on here.
Yeah.
Oh.
As soon as I'm done drilling and tapping.
So you're sealed here.
Sealed here.
Water's not coming out.
Correct. After we're drilled and tapped, The water pressure is going to want to push this out. Then this is a valve. I shut the valve, which allows me to take this back off.
No kidding. Oh, look at that. Open and close that, and when it's closed, you got no water coming out. Been working for over 100 years.
Yeah.
Why bother changing
That's
it?
right.
Yep.
All ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right, get your rain hat.
There's the business end, huh? So the fact that this tool's been around since 18 whenever, Richard, this is what they're doing in every municipal system all across the country.
Right. I hope the inventor's still making a little money on it.
So now he's backing it off, Richard?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so if that wasn't clamped down on there right now, you'd have water flying everywhere.
Just 50 pounds of pressure.
Yeah. But here we are, not seeing a drop.
This is the shut-off valve. Those threads are going to screw into the threads I just cut into the main. So all the water pressure's on this side. It won't allow me to open this gate because of the water pressure. So if I bypass this, it's going to allow water up through here, through this bypass, into the side of the chamber, and it just equalized, allowing me to open that gate.
So that's 50 pounds of water pressure he's pushing against.
Yeah, but he's a big, strong man.
That's just draining the chamber. I know I'm good to go.
Well, you're definitely good to go, right? You'd have water squirting out of there like crazy if you weren't.
So that's nice to see that holding perfectly. So we've got copper lines to run. We're going to use heavy gauge, they call type K copper, and it'll come right here. Now at the curb itself, there'll be shut-off valves like this down below grade where it can't freeze.
Okay.
And then off the top of that will be this extension. They'll come up to this sidewalk curb shut-off right here. That'll accept a wrench that'll go down to be able to turn it off remotely.
So this is always in a place where it won't freeze, but you'll have access to it up
serviceability.
top.
And there's two of them. One for the water coming in, and the second one for the fire protection system. And I learned a lot about them a couple weeks ago. Not every home in America needs or gets a residential fire sprinkler system. But on this project, as soon as they activated the third floor as living space, it now forced a code requirement, either to have special means of egress from the third floor or a residential sprinkler system. But the egress wasn't that simple, so it's a sprinkler. Scott Kelly and his crew have the job of putting in a properly sized fire sprinkler system into this building. Hello, Scott, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Take us through the process. Where do you start?
So we get a set of drawings and we take a look at that. We determine how many heads are going to be necessary for the rooms. They work on square footage, so from there we figure out if it's one or two or however many.
So you'd have to size this for all the heads going off at the same time?
No, we actually only have to size it for two of the heads going off in this case.
Which two?
The two most remote heads, which would be the farthest, which would be in the third floor.
Okay, so you want to get water all the way to the farthest point. Now does that determine the pipe size?
No, what actually determines the pipe size is the available water that would be in the street. And about a week ago we did a hydrant flow test in the street to determine what kind of volume and pressures we had to work with.
Okay, so you know how much you need and you know how much you got.
That's correct.
Cool. And then you put it into a plan?
Then we put it into an engineered set of plans, and we send those plans to the local authority for their review and for their approval.
Okay. All right, so I see here's the basement layout and the first floor layout. And there's your manifold assembly with check valves to protect the water supply.
That's correct. So we're going to have a new water line that comes in, and it's going to go through a double check valve into our riser manifold assembly. The reason for the double check valve is to make sure that none of the water goes back into the public supply.
Yeah, you don't want to contaminate potable water with non-potable water.
That's correct. And this is our manifold assembly. Water will come in here. So there's a little flapper right in here, and if a head were to go off, that flapper would engage the alarm, letting the fire department know.
That's a good thing.
We would see our drop in pressure because the head would be open, and we have our drain to drain the system.
All right, so this is like the control center, this is the source, and it's going to come out, and now you've run steel pipe here. It's almost like the roots of a tree. They're big down here, and as they branch takeoffs, they can get smaller. They come to here, and then they work up to the leaves right here, the head.
That's correct.
Are you going to run steel all through the building?
No, we're only using steel in portions of the basement. So up here we'll use CPVC.
CPVC, not steel. Good.
That's correct. This is going to go in the ceiling trusses, concealed above the ceiling.
Hide it everywhere.
Could go in the walls if it was going to be a wall sprinkler. You know, wherever we have a sprinkler head, what we're going to see is going to be the plate, whether it's coming out of the wall
Okay.
or whether it's coming out of the ceiling.
All right, so that's not bad. I mean, it goes away. It's a lot better than this, but
It's downstairs, right?
I don't want to tell you, there's some people that would say they don't really like seeing that
Some
either.
people don't like seeing
Okay.
that. So we do have options. We can have them in different colors. We have a black one here.
Yeah.
If we still don't like the way that looks, we have concealed sprinkler heads, which will match your finished ceiling. And in this case, this will melt off, drop down, and this sprinkler head will activate.
Great. What's not to love about that? That just makes it just disappear.
It does. And if you still don't like that, we can have some more options.
Sure.
We can get almost any matched paint color.
That's great.
And further, now we can also match pretty much any kind
Any
of
finish,
that
anything.
you're thinking.
Wow.
Absolutely.
All right, well, there's a lot of options. Come a long way since that was the only choice, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Now, these heads, there's a fair amount of engineering in these, isn't there?
There is. Let's go set one off.
All right. Sounds like fun.
So we set up this demonstration for you.
That's
We're going to
great.
show you how these go off. These are the most common temperatures that you'll find in a residential application. This is 155 degree. We're going to find different temperatures in laundry rooms, possibly kitchens, possibly.
You use the right thing in the right place.
That's correct. And the water is going to go into the sprinkler, the glycerin-filled bulb is going to break, and the water will hit the deflector, and it'll go out in the pattern that will help put the fire out.
And I'll put the fire out. All right, well, that is cool. I hope we never have to see it in real life, but I want to thank you for
Thank you
sharing it
very
with
much.
us. All right.
All right, let's install a new slate hearth for the gas fireplace.
All right, Jason, I got that fire-rated board for our new house.
All right, excellent. Just clear that little bit of debris out of there and
Yep.
we'll slide it in.
All right.
I got a couple of lines there that you can reference. How do you
Okay.
feel about this gas insert fireplace?
So you know I'm a traditional guy, and if we were to do a traditional fireplace,
Oh, boy.
a lot of work, right? A lot of money too. I'd have to cut all this out. I'd have to knock those joists out. We'd have to get a carpenter in here to box everything out.
Yep.
Then we'd have to pour this entire area from the back all the way to the front. That's gonna have to be concrete.
Yep.
Then I gotta come in with my fire brick and make a firebox out of that. On top of that, I got a damper to put in, and then I gotta build all the mechanics to the fireplace, and then I gotta flue out.
Well, considerably less work here, but we've still got a little bit of floor to
Okay.
remove, but not quite as much as
Right.
if we had to go with the traditional.
Right.
Make sure it's parallel to the wall and then take a couple measurements.
All right, I'm on my mark now.
All right, I got 19.5/8 there. All right, pretty good. So I
Right.
guess we can scribe this out, remove the subfloor, and then we can slide our new piece of slate.
All right, let me get this out of your way and start cutting.
Popped it right out. That's good. There we go.
Oh, nice job, Jason. All right, so I know we didn't have to head this off, but we should put in some blocking, right?
Yeah, if we don't put in some blocking, I'm afraid that the slate's going to cantilever over these joists, and it just won't be distributed over here. So we're going to put blocking in all four corners. That way, if anybody steps on it, it's all balanced, all secure. Okay, Mark, I'm going to put some sealant on here just in case there's any deflection in that piece of slate. I don't want people to step on it and there be any creaks in it. So I'm going to put this sealant on. It's going to kind of act as a gasket, and then we'll put that piece of fire-rated board
I
down.
like that. I like that, Jason.
And I got this great gun that
Yeah.
I don't have to use my hand for.
All right, Jason. Take that. Let's tuck it under.
Yeah, we've got our sealant on. That's going to eliminate any deflection, any
yeah.
noise. All right, so we're just going to screw it down now.
Okay.
Just regular sheetrock screws.
All right, more adhesive?
Yep, I'm going to put it right over the blocking and right over the joists.
Okay, great.
Just some dollops. I don't think I need to put it all over the fireboard.
Let's get the slate. All right.
Gotta love these suction cups.
Oh, they're a game changer.
Roll in.
All right, little slide in. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
All right, let's lower on down.
All right, I'm on my mark.
Me
So
too.
we're looking good, but let's throw the level on it. All right, let's check this way.
All right.
All right, Jason,
Good.
perfect again.
Great.
All right, but the most important thing is this has to plane out with the
That's
floor.
right. That's right. And that's why we chose this company, because they're one of the few companies that can actually mill that slate to within a 1/16 of an inch. Look at that.
Well, I'll
Planes
tell you
right
that
through.
they did a
Right.
heck of a job. Doesn't get any more perfect than that.
Yeah, I think the customer's going to be happy. It came out great.
So Jason, the house is looking good. You guys got all the siding in, windows all trimmed off, everything looks good down below. Now you're working on the dormers, and we all know water is the enemy. So tell me your method for keeping the water out.
You're absolutely right. Water's the 1, 2, and 3 top problems with us, right? So one of the things that we've done to start, once the roof was sheeted, we tried to make a connection with the roof sheathing and the wall sheathing.
Right.
And we just flashed that.
Yeah, so that's basically a small piece of L flashing. L looks like an L,
Yep.
and it goes under each individual piece of roof shingle as it goes up, and then
right.
it terminates on the face of the wall. On top of that, I see you also have counter flashing. How you counter flash that?
Well, I tape off the step flashing, and then I put this Z bend on there. We've got about a 3/4 inch bend right here to get it up off the roof,
Good.
and then about 1 1/4 right here, which gives us about a 1/4 inch proud of the material we're using.
So you get
So
plenty
that'll
of-
deflect all the water off.
Right, and you get plenty of air going around there.
That's
too.
right,
So
that's
that's
right.
good. Yeah.
You can see up there on the fascia where we've also put a piece of counter flashing.
And it comes down a little bit, so if any wind-blown rain blows in there, it won't get in here. It'll blow in and down and hit the flashing and run down. Nice system. Now your starter course is pitched out slightly, so you obviously have a starter piece under that because you want that bevel to look the same all the way up. And as I look up there, you can see the top of the window. You have your flashing on there. So that looks like a piece of PVC flashing, window flashing. And it looks like you have it embedded in caulking first and then taped above that.
That's right. The PVC is going to last a little bit longer than most materials, so we
Yep.
put the PVC on top. We seal it in. We seal behind the cedar first, and then we run a bead on top of the cedar. We put this on top of the cedar, and then we slide it along the top of the cedar. The silicone then is going to go behind the piece of trim that's up
Right.
there and behind this piece of drip cap. And then it's just sealed to the building.
Right, and it also has this little kerf cut or the release cut right here, so the water that drips off of this stops the surface tension and stops the water from migrating under it. But you're doing belt and suspenders here. You've got plenty of caulking in behind and everything else, so you've got a real good method.
That's right.
All right, so now you've got your starter course on, but you've got 4 or 6 dormers here that all have to get sided. They're probably all the same size.
Close to it, yep.
Yeah. So I know I have a method on how I would do it, but let's hear your method on how you would side all these.
Well, one thing we do is we take all of the measurements and we basically call it a triangle. And we all know if we get the 3 lengths of the triangle, the
Yep.
angles are already determined.
Exactly.
So we'll go down there, we'll cut a template out of cardboard. We'll use our reveal lines that we've snapped on the floor, and then we'll put the template on it, kind of move the template around to determine where we want the height of our first and last course of cedar to end up.
Exactly, yeah.
Now in this particular situation, I've got a 60-degree roof.
Yes.
So I'm going to slide this long point all the way to that bottom of that clapboard. That way I can maximize this short piece.
But you don't want anything smaller.
No, it's going to split if I make it any smaller. All right, so what I'm going to do is just tack these down with some 3/4 inch pin nails. These will pull out real easily for us. And this goes pretty quick, a lot quicker than it would be if we were up on the roof right now.
So right there, the top of the line.
There you go, make sure it's lined up. And just throw a couple nails in there. The other great thing about this is I've got 8 dormers to do, so I can blast them all off like an assembly line down here. This is the last piece. The next thing we're going to do is bring that template back on and mark the corners of it.
Okay, right behind you. Can you reach it?
Yep. Here we go.
All right.
Now I don't trace this, I just line it up and I just mark the points. Tracing it is going to get a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, all you need is a straight line, a straight point to go to. A point, snap a line if you want.
Right, so I make that point there and I make this mark right there. And then the last thing I do is I just make sure that my reveals are good. So we're going to go with 1 3/4 and 1 3/4 here. And then we'll snap that line across. You good down there?
I'm good.
All right, boom.
Now we'll do the long one.
Yep, now we pop the long one.
All right, so now we can pick them up, take them upstairs, and put them on the wall.
Save these for our next dormer.
Yep.
I've pre-drilled this small triangle to make sure it doesn't split.
There you go. Nice job.
All right, we got it.
Nice job.
Boy, that's lining up really well. I got my reveal. I've got it leveled. I've got a good reveal here. I've got a good space right there. So,
And you're on your pencil mark
and I'm
right
on my
there.
pencil mark, yeah.
Nice
so.
job, Jason. Looks like you know what you're doing. Okay, so I measured up from the bottom. I put your 4.5-inch marks. You always nailed higher than the clapboard that you went over because you want this clapboard to expand and contract on its own. You don't want to lock it in with a second nail. All right, so the last piece, this is for the top here, and I also like the fact that you primed any cuts that are made. And that's good to keep the water out so it doesn't soak it up. All right, Jason, only 7 more sides to go, but it's looking good. All right, so what do you got for us next time?
We're gonna move on to interior trim.
That's exciting. All right, till next time, I'm Tom Silva
And I'm Jason Whitbeck.
for This Old House. Really coming along great, huh? This does save a lot of time.
Next time on This Old House.
You want to see some irrigation magic? We're going to run these water lines without lifting a shovel.
So Brandon's attaching a stabilizer to control the rod to keep it flat as it goes through. We don't want it to poke up out of the top or drive deeper.
Third floor laundry room gets a custom drain system to protect the house from a catastrophic leak. And our wide plank flooring goes down and it's an engineered white oak.